Hey guys, Captain Dave. Just got in from an 8-hour trip today. Did a shiner trip. It was strictly shiners. It was actually kind of a fishing derby. This group that came in and they hire guides every year. I want to say there were 11 or 12 guide boats that went out today, and it's kind of one of those big fish takes all kind of deals. It's going on for 2 days, and so I'll have my guests again tomorrow. We had a good day. I want to say we boated 23 fish today, which isn't super stellar, but kind of the pressure was on after about the first 2 hours this morning, because one of my good friends, Gary Long, came by and showed us that his boat had caught one about 10 pounds. And if it's a winner take all 2-day derby, and so it kind of changes your strategy a little bit. A lot of times you're sitting, and it's okay if you're catching 2-pounders for a while, and you hope that a big fish or a group of big fish will move in. Anyway, we really didn't have the luxury of doing that, and so I wound up kind of spot hopping today a little bit, trying to get a big one. But I got a question yesterday from a guest that was asking about the shiner rig that I use and how I go about it. And so I want to show you some of that. I'm going to specifically show you what I use. You should know that I'm not being paid to use any of these things. Well, I retract that. Ardent is somebody that I have a rod and reel deal with. It's nothing spectacular, but I do use their reels quite a bit and some of their rods. And on my shiner setup here, I'm going to show you on my shiner setup, I do have a light saltwater Ardent reel. It's actually called a Magnum, and it's an inshore type reel. It's got a big heavy drag system in it, which really makes it great. It's got a big spool, holds a lot of line, and that's the reel that I use for my shiner fishing. It's low profile. A lot of people like to have the ability to put their hands on a reel, and it kind of gives you that bass fishing feel as opposed to the round ones. And I've dabbled in the round ones as well over the last few years. But I want you to know I really feel like I've fine-tuned this process, and so I'm going to share it with you. Some of you may never shiner fish. You'd be like my good buddy Rob at Lunkers TV and say that shiner fishing is like newspaper fishing, and of course. He ate those words just a little bit when he caught that 8.5 pounder. So I'm shouting you out again, Rob. Anyway, but there's a time and a place for shiner fishing, and it can be a fantastic way, absolutely, to get this. Alan, for God's sakes, I'm trying to shoot here. He's God bless Alan. If he's not turning up the TV, he's shouting from his condo. But anyway, so I want to go over this for now. These reels retail for about $150, right in that neighborhood, and they're called Magnum. They're Apex Magnum reels. Again, this is not a commercial for Ardent by any stretch, but it is. I'm letting you know that I use this reel very specifically because I feel like it's the perfect reel for shiner fishing, and so this is the one I use for shiner fishing. Now, what's interesting about this is people who know me know that I'm a bit of a spendthrift. And in that, I'll spend money if I like it. And the irony is on that is I don't use a graphite rod for shiner fishing. I use an ugly stick, and this is an ugly stick. It's a Shakespeare ugly stick. This is that GLX or the GX2 series. It's got kind of a nice modern finish to it. This is the 7-foot. This is the heaviest one I can find. It's a 7-foot medium heavy, and this rod is absolutely perfect for shiners. I use 50-pound braid. The brand really doesn't matter, but I use a 50-pound braided line, and I tie for most of my fishing. I tie a drop shot rig, and I'll show you that in a minute. But back to the rod for a minute. One of the things about a graphite rod when you fish a graphite rod is it doesn't have a lot of parabolic bend. A lot of people like to use graphite when they're shiner fishing, but I think it's a mistake. You throw it out there, you hook the fish, and when you start to fight the fish, that graphite is real stiff. Especially the graphite rods that a lot of guys use, the flipping sticks and things like that. And fighting these fish out of the grass, especially from a distance, you're not flipping. You're making a cast and you're catching the fish. And what's so nice about an ugly stick is that it has so much parabolic bend. When you set a hook on these, the rod kind of moves like this, as opposed to that real stiff. And I really believe, now you'll still tear some hooks because these fish are monsters at times, but I really believe that the bend in that rod really makes it to where I think you land more fish once you hook them up, especially big fish. I always say that when you hook a fish that's 6 to 8, 9 pounds, especially with that 8, 9, 10 pound class fish, you set the hook on that fish and you're in for about 15 or 20 seconds of absolute fury, and that fish is going to do whatever it wants to. And so having a rod that's got some bend to it You can load the rod. The key is to keep your rod up. And if you guys look, if you look at the when Big Rhonda was caught by Mick, and if you look back at that video, Nick's hook set was a thing of beauty. He held his rod real tall. He cranked from up by his ear hole, and he got that big fish out of some very heavy grass. And it was a combination of Kissimmee grass and cattails, the flat grass, and the flat reeds. And he did a great job. This rod is the ticket for that. This is why I use it. Now, I use a slip bobber rig. I use a standard slip bobber stopper, and you can see it on my line right here. It is right here. I don't know if you can make it out there or not. There it is. You can see it in the video now. I see that right there. But I use a slip bobber. The bobber itself is a slip bobber. I use a glass bead to keep the bobber from whacking or sticking into the plastic. So kind of like that. And I can adjust my float length right here. If I'm in 4 feet of water, I can adjust it accordingly. I like to make it so my float lays just on the surface a little. I use the smallest float I possibly can and still work the shiners. And then I use, of course, a 1/2 ounce weight. Now, I've used a lot of different things, and I've experimented with different size weights and all that kind of stuff. But here's my real secret. I use a Trocar tube hook. And Mike and those guys send it to me before they put the plastic keeper on it. This is one of the most amazing hooks on the planet when it comes to shiner fishing. You can see my line's a little frayed here, it needs to be retied. That's from the grass and stuff. But these hooks are just amazing. They hook up so well. And then I use this little piece of plastic. I put the shiner on my hook. I usually go through it under his chin and up through the nostril. And then after I have the shiner on there, I put this piece of soft plastic over the hook, past the barb. It has nothing to do whatsoever, nothing to do with weedlessness and all that stuff. It just keeps your shiner from swimming away on you. That nostril will stretch out, and all of a sudden there's no bait there anymore. That's what that is. But this is my shiner setup, guys, and I use this almost 85% of the time. I use the drop shot. It literally is a drop shot. It's a Palomar. You drop it through and put the weight underneath it, and I keep it just, what it does, it allows me to put my shiner exactly where I want it, and it stays there. Now, there's times if I got hydrilla and things like that, I'll cut that weight off, and I'll fish it just like this with no weight under it and let the shiner swim around, and that can be the best way to do it depending on the conditions you're in. But that's my shiner rig. I use an Apex Magnum reel, or Ardent rather, Apex Magnum reel, and a 7-foot medium heavy Shakespeare ugly stick. And it's just absolutely perfect. I don't see myself switching away from this rig. I feel like I figured it out. So anyway, thanks for the question, guys. I appreciate that. If you've got other questions, I'd like to be able to answer them on video. So if you put a comment or a question on there, I want to answer it as best I can. Now, I have one more thing I want to address before I get off of here and show you. And we get into today's vlog. I'm going to kind of lead off with this one. But that is, I had a gentleman ask me, he's coming down to fish, and he was asking me what I'm talking about when I say dumps out of the lake or ditches that run out of the lake. I'm talking about catching these pre-spawn fish in areas where they're transitioning from the lake into the spawning areas. And what I'm talking about specifically, and I'm going to look through my drone footage. If I've got something drone footage-wise that I can put in here, I'll do that for you to kind of show what I'm talking about. But basically, anywhere where the lake cuts into what is usually Kissimmee grass and then reeds, those are areas that lead back into the spawning flats. Those are the areas I'm talking about. Those are the little funnels in the roadways that the fish are using. I'll try and put some arrows on the area on the aerial footage that I have, or the drone footage that I have specifically from East Wall, so that the fellow that asked me about that can. I apologize, I don't have your name in front of me, but the guys that I asked about that are coming down. That's where it's at. You guys, if you ever come down fishing and you're one of my subscribers, you call me. I'll help you out. I'll tell you where fish are biting and where the clean water is, and kind of get your feet on the path of righteousness, so to speak. I'll be more than happy to do that for you. So I so much appreciate you guys. Hey, the Trocar prize pack. I'm over 1,400 subscribers. Woohoo! So I'm almost there. We got 100 more to go. About 90, probably 95 to go at this point. So let's keep cranking it. I'm going to show the prize package again in a day or two because I've added a few things, but it's a nice package, and so. In any case, there's my any case. I'm gonna put a head on this right now and get back to the rest of my vlog. Thanks for checking in. It's a guide's life. It's a great life. I appreciate you sharing it with me. So much appreciated. Keep the questions coming. I'll keep the answers flowing as best I can, and I'll always give you the truth about what I'm using and why I'm using it, because that's, I think, the most important thing. Thanks, guys. Hey guys.
Hi.
Tristan and I are back. Hey, listen, I realize the audio might be dicey here. This is day 2 with Tristan and I. We fished yesterday evening and we're fishing this evening. And we've stumbled across the same pattern. We're just in a completely different area on the lake. Today we're actually out near Ritta Island. Yesterday we were fishing in East Wall. But you know, with this high wind and all the stuff that's gone on here lately and how tough the fishing's been, we've managed to actually catch some nice fish. Tristan had one on. Of course, yesterday you'll see the vlog. But yesterday Tristan caught a 4 and a 6 on shiners late in the day. We had several, you know, smaller fish, you know, 2 to 3 pounders on artificials. We were throwing a swimming worm. In fact, that's what we're throwing right now too. We've got this swimming worm bite, dark colors. Doesn't really matter beyond that, I don't think. And we're just fishing in the cleaner water areas that we find in these flats areas. You know, I guess flats areas this, areas that, whatever. Anyway, you know how I like to make things sound complicated so I seem smarter. Well, that's me. Anyway, but we're gonna keep pounding away. Tristan just caught a really nice one. Like, he had one about 6 here a little earlier too. It came unbuttoned right at the boat, and we've got but we've kind of come across them here. So we're gonna fish a little bit more. I wanted to kind of get the video vlog started for tonight, and we'll check back in with it. But anyway, hey, it's still howling, it's still cold, it's not really cold, but it's cold for here. But the bass are biting. You know, you get these fronts that come in, and they're gonna be a shutdown period there's gonna be a period of time where things really kind of get tough. But you know, you get 3 days of the wind blowing, and the fish are gonna eat, and that's what they did last night, and that's what they're doing this evening as well. And so hopefully we'll get a couple more nice ones, and we'll have something to show you. In any case, I said in any case, you know, I'm so cognizant of when I say in any case anymore. So in any case, in any case, the wind and sun's in my eyes, and I just don't know what to do. Okay, anyway. Okay, the little French dude. He's not little, by the way, he's about 6'4", 6'5". But anyway, he just missed one at the boat here. He's jumping up and down and saying "holy crap" in the best English he can muster. Anyway, oh, did you get him? Oh! This is some really crappy camera work. Listen, he's still here. I mean, the poles are down. He's oh, he took it. He took it. All right, well, this dog is hunting, baby. This dog is hunting. Well, this is it, eh, bub? You have a good time?
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There's a couple of nice ones that Tristan caught here later in the evening. Actually, the one in the left hand, I guess, is technically the one I caught. But we caught several, and we were throwing them back, and we decided to just hold on to a couple for the picture's sake. Hold them up there, and we'll get a snapshot out of this as well. Give me those tails together like you did before. That's pretty cool. I like when you do it like that. That's good. Just like that.
There, go on, go.
Rolling the ball carrier, Derek Bailey into the end zone.
Get on, there you go. You got it.
Nate Pettis.